Well,
Welcome to the first episode, guys.
Let's go.
Let's get it going, Hunter.
dive right
Strap
in.
in. Come on.
we
Let's
all
strap
strapped
in,
in?
Homer.
Homer.
Episode 1 of Too Much Thoughtcast. Let's get it going.
It's the first episode. How you guys feeling about this?
Dude,
What's your outlook? How do you want people to view this podcast?
I want this podcast to be a place for people that are about the same age as us, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, just to have a safe place to let their thoughts that have just been building up to unravel, maybe clarify them a little bit, you know?
So everybody.
Everybody's
Looking for
thinking too
everybody.
much.
I do agree. I think in today's day and age, people just think not too much, because thinking too much is, is a good thing.
It's an issue.
It's an issue if you overthink, but some people I feel like just needs a place where they play. I relate.
They can kind of like articulate what their thoughts mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
to a certain extent.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
This is the place to be for that.
100%, bro. But, what's been going on this week with you guys?
If I'm being really honest, Peaky Blinders last season. If you guys haven't watched it, stop this video, go watch it. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but I've already watched it maybe
4 times?
4 times. I mean, then that might be
A little excessive.
under exaggeration.
Do you have
actually,
like more than 24 hours in your day? Like, how did you fit in 4 times already?
well, no. I mean, if you think about it, I work 8 hours a day. I really don't need to sleep that much, especially when Peaky Blinders come out.
So it's work and Peaky Blinders, pretty
That's
much.
your life right now?
For the last week, it has been.
I mean, it's a new season. Why not just like dive into it? you
Hey, I
know?
get it, though. Speaking of someone that's seen it, man, that freaking show, man, it hits. It's artistic, yet factual in ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what I love what I've always loved about Peaky Blinders is it's factual in the sense of the world, as far as what's going on and what's happening. Maybe the characters are,
They're fictional.
fictional. Yeah,
Right,
but
right.
but from the standpoint of Europe and how it was going at the time, it is true to how everything was working. And I think that's what makes me like it more, because once you see, this kind of corruption was happening in England, and England fought against Germany in World War II. Imagine all the other countries that had this corruption. It kind of opens your eyes to see
So,
everything.
I actually haven't watched a single episode of Peaky Blinders. So, wait, was it going on during World War II era?
Well, it actually started off. Tommy, the protagonist,
The main character.
Yeah, he just got back from World War One, from France,
Okay.
and
So, he had some like trauma?
Oh,
the whole show's like a traumatic experience,
almost.
That's
yeah.
actually cool. I like that.
and so it just builds and builds off this, and it's actually leading into World War II. That's what it talks about. Adolf Hitler. It talks about.
Like his rise up in Germany?
No, well, he was already the chancellor.
Okay.
At the end of this, he was the chancellor.
Okay.
So
So, it's
he-
like 19,
he-
what is that, 35?
That's about where it
33,
ends. That's about where it ends.
33.
Season 6.
33. Well, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I haven't seen any of it, so I don't know.
Honestly, for me, it's more or less like, it's not even about obviously you love the characters, like they develop them well, but it's kind of like you get to see, kind of like pointing on what he said, is like the corruption, man. The people that are in power in countries,
It's like how many decisions they get to make, like what
not even
benefits them.
decisions. Like, obviously it's not, I'm not saying it's a easy thing to do to be in power, but corruption just finds its way to you, man. Like, you're going to go, left or right. There is no middle. Like,
It was like you could see how the world politically was driven by economic rise.
Okay.
So
Like money drives everything in that show?
kind of.
And kind of in the
no,
world, too?
yeah. Well, money's what start. Well, from the perspective of Tommy, money's what started it. But it's way deeper than that. I mean, if Adolf Hitler just wanted money, then he would have just been fine in Germany, manufacturing, producing things. He would have just been fine doing that.
But he wanted to be like a world power.
Yeah, it became more of an ideology of changing the world in a certain extent, about molding it to one's own, will and stuff.
Okay. So do you guys think that you could change reality though?
I
to
mean,
just benefit your will?
Well, I mean,
How far would you have to take the stakes? Like how many morals do you have to
High.
drop?
If you really have an ideology, and you're thinking in my mind, I'm going to change the world, your stakes have to be high, bro.
Right, you have to be have the resolve to kill somebody.
Oh, not even just that. I just think people in power, people don't realize they make these hardcore decisions. You know what I mean? We see the surface of it. It goes so much deeper, and that's any country.
We see what they want.
Any person in power, they didn't get that spot of power because there's tons of billionaires. When you get into that position where you're okay, I've made millions. Kind of like what you're talking about. Is it just about money? No. It's there comes a point in people's lives, I feel if you're on that success level where you have all the money in the world, but then money isn't enough for you. You know what I mean? And I feel that's human nature. You're always striving to do something different.
You're in the pursuit of happiness.
When you have that amount of income and cash, what else is driving you? You're looking at, I want to, force my ideologies, this. You have to be able to do some dark shit, man.
Okay.
And I agree with you on that. I mean, you look how many millionaires and billionaires are there in the world, and a lot of them are content with just making money, but the ones that truly seek
to make an impact on the world,
the way that it's worded, I think is strange, because they want to make their impact on the world. They don't want to. They might say, oh, this is for the better in whose eyes? Better
Right.
in their eyes, better because this is their ideologies that they forced on their business, and their business is doing good, so they think the whole world needs to develop that.
it kind of justifies their views of things because their business is doing well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for a lot. I mean, you look at these politicians. I mean, what does the president make? His salary is, I think, $100,000 a year. These presidents, they retire and go back to $330 or $300 million fucking houses, and that didn't come from.
That didn't come from
the
their
presidency.
monthly paycheck,
Yeah, so they're all pushing certain agendas, just like in Peaky Blinders. It kind of makes you think, because they talk about how they can change the people's perspective on a political basis, and it kind of shows you what kind of people we have now. They can switch people for a business agenda that they want, and then they'll get the voters there because they're like sheep, they're sheep, and then the shepherd.
They're trying to reflect what society wants, in a sense, just to get their vote.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, but a lot of that they show the people what they think is the right way, but a lot of it's kind of like Two-Face. You tell somebody something, all the good things they want to hear, but really you have a different agenda of why this should happen. Now, granted, it might happen. People might do this, get this, do that, but all you're worried about and what you will push forward to that day is this agenda, so you make that money. That's what Peaky Blinders, I think, has not necessarily showed me, but showed me how.
Though.
Yeah, it showed me how possible that is.
Yeah.
So it's what the motivation between powerful people is just currency? Is that what the show's
No,
showing?
no. I think it's
It's their agendas.
I don't.
They're real agendas.
Because
I'm not trying
like
to
how they
interrupt
want to
you.
No, you're
shape
good.
the society that they're living in.
Kinda, but in a sense, it's like it's all, to me, the way I view it is like, you know, obviously I don't know all these, you know, country leaders and all this, blah blah blah, but I feel like from my experience, it comes across as like when someone is trying to get in a place of power, they will tell people what they think that nation wants to hear at that time.
Okay.
That doesn't mean they're trying to push their, like, the other people's. They're not trying to like fit their ideology. That's just to get the vote. But once they hit that power, that's when they're trying to push shit. Like, and that's
when
not
they, like, show their true self.
exactly. And that's not just speaking about America today. This. Like, this is like from the beginning of societies. I feel like people did that. Like, you know how people that run things, like, they know how to, you know.
Like a democratic
Well,
society.
yeah, and they also have a big ego that
Oh, you have to have an ego.
we
man.
was talking about that earlier about how much ego driven a lot of people, because if you seek, not saying all the people that seek power to a certain extent, because a lot of people seek power to protect, but for the majority, a lot of them become so egotistical in their ways and how they think stuff should happen, like they'll never,
They don't see
go-
any other way.
yeah.
Well, they might just be getting disconnected from society because they're like throwing themselves in their work. You know, they might just not have time to hear the general masses because they're too busy getting crap done. You know, like
Yeah.
like think of Elon Musk, for example. He's got how many businesses? I think is
Countless,
it
probably.
4? And then like in his past, he's got multiple that he's already sold.
And that's just what we know
PayPal.
about, though. You talking about 4. Like, I love Elon Musk, like the stuff he does, like in this time. But like, I think it's so cool. But
It's like mind blowing.
to think in my perspective, like to think he's not doing things on the side that
he's
like,
just not
or the
talking
general
about.
public doesn't know about. I mean, I think that's crazy. I think to me, it's obvious. Like all these people, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I don't like to hold people of power on a pedestal. I don't want to think that they have more hours in their day than us. Like he's still got 24 hours. How much can you do? Because he's still sleeping. He still has to take breaks to eat.
Well,
How many
like-
businesses can you run at one time?
But it's not just him.
It's just not him. He has a network of people under him
Okay.
that are heavily influenced.
He's like outsourcing.
We're talking about Elon Musk, but this is how every billionaire are. It's not that they. Okay, this is how I'm gonna put it. So, you have say he has a bunch of factories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whoever has a bunch of factories, they have plant managers in that factory that they put in there to deal with day-to-day operations, that they trust. This is how it's going to work. This is what ideology you have to push it going forward.
Okay.
And so he's not there every company every day to push how things should be, but he's putting somebody in place to do that for him. And then he'll have he might have 20 businesses. That means he has 20 different directors of that business.
Okay. So like his name might be on the business, but he's not necessarily
Well, he owns
running the
it.
business.
He owns it. He's getting most of it because he took that liability.
Like
that
he's lined up to
credit
be the
on-
first trillionaire.
Yeah. But he doesn't specifically run the day-to-day operations. It's about managing. It's about managing the whole thing.
And to me, it's about accumulating a following, like people that
Yeah, you need support.
yeah,
Like
dude,
if no one's supporting you, you're not going to get anywhere.
nowhere. And I feel like that's where, like, to world leadership, that's what it is. Like, you convince a large group of people of, you tell them what they want to hear or whatever it is, or, you might be off the wall, but you convince them, oh, this is right. Instantly, you have support. You know
I
what I mean?
agree
You
with
can
that.
do so much more when you have a following of,
People that,
hundreds
like,
of thousands,
live and die
millions of
for
people. Is like that's how it is, and that's what it is. It's like networking almost, like because
Okay.
one man cannot do everything.
Right.
No matter how great, how smart, how
They're
rich.
still limited by the same
Yeah, back
things that
to
we're
your-
limited by.
24 hours.
Yeah.
You only have 24 hours. How you can use that?
It's like you hit exhaustion at the same point. Like not
Yeah.
exactly the same point, but you still hit exhaustion at some point in your day.
I thought
Like, you
people
just
forget.
can't do anything else.
They forget these guys that you see on TV, these guys that are worth billions of dollars. They're mortal men, mortal women. Like, they're just people.
They're just outsourcing their resources.
They're
to
different
others.
people with a different mindset of how things should be and how stuff runs. I mean, from my perspective, I mean, take this with a grain of salt.
Okay.
But the average worker doesn't think about waste, profit margins. They don't think about on-time deliveries. They think about just that job.
Yeah.
These people think about everything right then, right there. It's a different to be that kind of person. You have to be built for it. It's not something that, say, a normal guy could do, because he'd run a business into the ground if it was a Fortune 5.
If it's just an average person.
Yeah. I think people with that degree, that pedigree to be able to do that, they have a different thought process of how things should go and how things should run.
And this might be a little controversial, but I think, like, as human beings, as living creatures on this planet, okay, yeah, you're right. Everybody is equal in the sense they should have the same rights. But I do not believe that every person is equal in their state of mind.
Oh, no.
You know
no
what I mean?
doubt.
And that is what drives people. Like, what's on your mind? What are you trying to accomplish in this short life? You know what I mean?
Right. Because even if you are, in a sense, like, say your privilege is the same as others, but your perspective is different. You're putting yourself in a cage, right? Like, say you're too afraid to reach out on things by yourself. Like, you need somebody else's support or validation to reach out to things.
Well, what do you mean by privilege?
I don't know. I think people are so used to being heard today.
Heard?
Like, being heard, like, reciprocated by.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what perspective you have. Like, there's some group out there that's going to have the same perspective as you.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to pave a way for your own perspective.
So
Like,
it's like everybody has a voice, and you jump behind the biggest voice.
That's what people
Yeah,
do. That's,
yeah.
that's
Way
human
around.
nature in a sense.
Yeah.
yeah, you jump behind what will reciprocate you the loudest and be heard.
Yeah.
And so that you can get your.
I feel like you're part of something.
Yeah, you feel like you're part of something. You feel like you connect with a group of people, and that takes the loneliness away from your life.
Well, that goes in the perspective of the average Joe that say, "Hey, let me join this movement." But like, just like how a movement is how a business runs. So you have to look at that. I'm gonna join this movement, just like you join a job or a business. But you're only thinking of like one thing, and that person running that movement or business
Think about everything.
is thinking about everything. It's not also. I mean, everything's about everything for the majority is about money
To an
and
extent.
power.
To an extent.
To an
Power,
extent.
I feel like, is over money.
Yeah,
Power
at a
is
certain
well,
level.
money brings you power.
That is
So-
true. That is
So they're
very
kind
true.
of
So you
defined
have,
as the same thing.
the joint at the hand. You have to in today's day and age. You have to. I mean, even back to ancient civilizations, you have to have money before you have power. And so you join a movement. Not saying people that join movements or anything are on the cultist level, but think about it.
They just want something to identify with.
Well, they want something to identify with for sure, but they join a movement that's led by somebody who thinks about everything. And granted, they're probably egotistical, probably maybe a little bit. I mean, to run something that big, you have to have something, and you have to either have that monetary value or you have to have that ego drive to have that power. And when you have both, and you're just looking at all these possibilities of what can I achieve, what can I do this.
I mean, if you have
Then the
both,
people-
the world is kind of your oyster, right? You just-
Well, exactly, and so they make it seem like, you know, this is what we believe in, this is what we do. Just like, you know, when you're at work, and they tell you this is our slogan, this is how we want our products to be, but they don't I mean, yeah, they want their products to be good, but they don't give a fuck.
They care about how much you're pushing out.
They care about
what's coming in their bank account.
They care about
profit
your
margins.
production, not so much your mindset.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, we talk about how, you know, people come into the power and everything and hold that. I think people don't understand the people that's actually in power. They think they're like-minded.
They're not.
They're not.
They're on a
They're
different.
definitely
They're on a
not.
different plane than
They're
They're
different
thinking
majority.
so many steps ahead than the average person.
It's chess, not checkers.
Oh yeah,
That's how
I
I think
definitely
about
agree
it.
with you there. It
like
is-
you have to be planned for A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
like, you
know
have to
what I
have
mean?
so many contingency plans behind you of what could go wrong, and the average person is just not going to spend their day thinking about what could go wrong and how to prepare for it.
Yeah.
Like it takes a next level of person.
And we kind of touched on ego earlier today, just like conversating. And like, I do feel like kind of like what you brought up, like ego plays a part in like getting to that success. Like, I feel like it's got a bad stigmatism behind it of like, oh, you know, he's egotistical, he's a douchebag, this, in today's society. But really, like, you have to have some kind of ego.
Oh, your ego can let you get what you want so much faster than anything else. Like just being honest with people. Like, yeah, you're going to be flushed out and they might trust you, but you're not going to get what you want as fast as you would if you portrayed a character that is kind of impenetrable, you know? Like a billionaire.
I feel
Yeah.
like if you're too humble and too honest in today's age, people will take advantage of that. And
Yes.
they'll create their own motive of going off of that.
Wait, why did that light turn off?
I don't know. We might have a ghost over here in Neiman Mills. Which
All of our
y'all-
lights went out, guys.
I've heard some stuff in here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not.
I mean, it's been built since 1902,
Oh,
right?
dude.
yeah, there's definitely
The
people that died in
studio?
here.
Sometimes I just try to tell myself it's okay.
yeah,
I don't know. How y'all feeling with this lighting? We're just going to ride with it, all right?
I know. Yeah,
Flick it back on, man.
Maybe
No
I'm a little
biggie.
bit dark.
The,
all right,
the plug probably just came a little loose on the backside.
cut.
There we are.
All right, I'm gonna jump back into that ghost thing. All right, clap when you want to start again.
All right, we're back.
That was definitely a ghost because it just clicked
Dude,
back
that light
right
just shut
back
off
on.
literally back on its own.
What's
What's
y'all's
wrong?
thoughts on like, you know, afterlife, spirit shit type
Oh
deal?
man, I don't think we have enough time in this podcast for that. That is,
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a whole episode on its own. you
Yeah.
know? Like, I don't believe that people linger.
Touch on
I
it, man.
mean-
Touch on it.
Okay, I'll give you my like
Yeah, give us a
baseline
rundown.
perspective of it. I don't think that people linger in this life. I think that they move on to whatever they're meant to move on to.
Yeah.
I think that maybe if things are lingering in a sense, it's really just the person that is experiencing it is kind of fabricating.
So is their
Yeah.
vibes, it's like their spirituality.
It's
what
like
they
that
feel
person
like.
fully believes that it's happening to them, but if you take another person's perspective and view that same circumstance, like there's so many different answers you could come up with on why these things are happening to them.
I low-key agree with that, dude, is the fact of like, I feel like, you know, and I'm huge into this. Like, I don't believe it. I'll be straight up with you. I don't believe in these ghosts and spiritual activity. Cause I mean, we're earthly people, but at the same time, I do think it becomes in like a manifestation type deal. Something like that happens where
Not interrupt, but if there's a saying, if you believe something hard enough, it will become real.
it's only real
Like
in your own mind,
manifestation.
though.
Yeah,
it's only real in your own mind.
I mean, your reality is the only reality that you live in.
It's the only one that matters to you prospectively.
Yeah,
Because I'm the main character in my movie, and vice versa to you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
So what happens to me isn't as important to you as it is to me.
yeah, that's 100%.
stop. I care about you, Logan. I care
No,
about.
I
what
care about you
happens.
too, just not as much as myself.
You guys just warmed my heart.
We should run businesses. Become politicians.
I'm an egotistical
I'm gonna care for my employees so hard, bro.
Fuck them employees.
But what I think is, I'm not believing ghosts, believing, you know.
He's spiritual. He has rocks.
What are the stars
I got
telling you
crystal.
today?
The way that the astrology works is I think, like I said earlier, I think if you believe something hard enough, it will become true. If you believe yourself crazy enough, if you believe, like in today's day and age, everybody's so quick to diagnose herself with, this is what's wrong with me, this is the problem, this is why. And if you believe that, it will come true.
Yeah.
Right, you're like toxining your brain. Like if I wake up every day and tell myself I'm a loser, in a month from now, I'm gonna fully believe that I'm a loser.
Yeah.
Exactly. That goes to the point of manifestation, right? So if people talk about doing all these crazy things for manifestation, no, I believe that if you make up your mind, this is how it's going to be, this is why it's going to be, not granted this is how it's going to happen because everything changes, but
Right, you can't guarantee the
in your own
outcome.
reality, things will manifest and they will come true, you know, through your own perspective, because that's how the brain works.
Oh, you've been thinking too much about this one.
Hey, this is kind of crazy. And haven't heard anybody talk about this, but it just kind of popped into my mind. Like, obviously, I know there's science behind like mental illness and shit. You know what I mean? But do you talk about manifestation? Do you truthfully believe like someone could heal their own mental illness with their own mind?
Yes.
So
like they convince themselves.
what is a placebo pill? It's just a sugar pill.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it still works on people that take it. Like their brain heals themselves because they think that they're taking something that's going to heal them.
That
So they fully believe that they're getting better. And
Yeah.
so their brain follows along with them and starts making
Reality
them
is
better.
nothing.
Yeah, I've been reading this book called Dynamic Health, and it talks about there was this guy, right? Healthy guy, French guy, went skiing. He's, played tennis and whatever, but his legs stopped working, right? And if you touch him, he would wince in pain from the
So
soreness.
he wasn't like numb to it, but
No,
it just
no.
hurt to you.
Yeah, he couldn't even walk, and he went to many doctors, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And then he went to this doctor who wrote that book. I forgot his name, and then it sucks to me, but because he had a different perspective of health, because he thinks the body and the mind are tied together, and this guy, he went through so much emotional and mental trauma.
Stress.
Yes, that his body stayed in that stress mode to where he didn't know, okay, that's past. It's been in the past. Let me relax. His body was still in that.
So a PTSD type. deal.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Yeah,
And I've read that extensive PTSD will actually leave your body open to, like, more susceptible to take on diseases and
yeah.
illnesses.
Well, that's what's crazy.
like it weakens your immune system.
Yeah, and we talk about like, his body was healthy, just like the people's body who has PTSD, emotional distress, are healthy, but their mind is stuck in that cycle to where, like he said, they become, their immune system falls. They're weaker. They feel fatigued, and I think that's a clear indication that a lot of the way the body works, is linked back
The body follows the mind.
to the mind. Perfect.
And I kind of think the mind, as a whole, is everything. I think people don't even understand, can't even grasp the power of like a human brain. Almost like you can create any reality, false reality, whatever you call it. Like your brain can, back to manifestation, can manifest that to where you as a person truthfully believes this is happening to me. This is that. Like,
So, like, if you spend too much time thinking about what you fear most, like what you fear most might present itself into your life.
yeah, I do, because I think like I said, like I just don't think scientists, whatever. I don't think anybody can 100% tell you what your brain is up to. Like,
Right, because each one's different.
Do you think that comes down to one person's consciousness and how that person is, or do you think it just comes down to genetics?
I don't want to say the genetics card, but I think your brain is developed at a young age. I feel like, and how it develops is is up to your upbringing and multiple other situations and scenarios. But no matter what, who you are or anything else, I mean, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but you're on the street, you haven't done anything, like your brain is still a very powerful tool. You're just not using it correctly.
Okay. You're not using it to its full capabilities.
And that's what I believe. I feel like the brain doesn't have necessarily a top. There's no bottom, there's no top. It's like you're creating what you're expecting your life to be.
Your reality.
Your reality. And that's why these people fall and these people rise. Like,
right, because before actions, you have thoughts, and you just act on those thoughts. So your first initial interaction that you're having with other people just originates as a thought that's in your head that they can't see. And so then you act on it afterwards.
And what if them thoughts are wrong? Like you said, everybody has a different reality, but we all live in this societal reality
Right,
where
we're all like
this
into
how it
the
should
same
be.
soup.
And so it's like, we all have different realities in our head, but there's a different societal reality. Because I've been at work a lot of times, and in my head, in my reality, I'd love to slap somebody.
oh yeah,
But
dude.
for societal reasons, in their reality of how things should work, civilized reality, you don't.
Yeah, obviously there's gonna be rules and boundaries, but just like laws and rules, like I feel like the society we live in, everybody like, okay, there's 24 hours in a day. There's this. You're gonna go to work for this time. Like all of it is just created to make you feel a part of something. I feel like, because honestly, like you don't have to necessarily break days into days. Like there doesn't have to be a January, February, March, months, and there's this many days in this month. Like to make the yearly cycle, I get it. It makes sense to people. They fall into this, but I don't believe that's necessarily how it was intended to be. In a sense, like
so people don't get stuck into a cycle as much.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why they set up. Okay, you're gonna work Monday through Friday, this many hours. We're putting you into a schedule. When in reality, in my own reality, I feel like life is just life. Like there doesn't have to be a structure to it.
It doesn't have to be a structure to it, but imagine if nobody had structures in their life. Imagine
be chaos.
Imagine if everybody had like their own construct of how societal norms should be, and that's what they call psychopaths and sociopaths. It's people that take their own, basically what I think, their own reality, and they to a certain degree. You can push your own reality, like we talked about a lot of the business people that push their own reality, but they do it in a different sense of this is, they don't take in consideration. I think society is built around you take everybody else's reality,
And you
right?
try to make a norm out of
And
it.
you try to make a norm to where everybody can appease each reality, so it becomes a social, or because you don't have chaos, so you don't have.
Because the goal of society is to emulate what's the word?
Emulate.
Yeah, emulate conflict.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because think about it. For social, somebody bumps into you. If you're in your own reality, somebody bumps it. Say you're at a bar, somebody bumps into you. In your own reality, you want to smack that motherfucker.
But that's
For sure.
But
Because they're being careless, right?
yeah, because they're being careless. I
They're
don't.
messing up
I have
your
to disagree
vibe.
with that. I have to disagree with that. Like I get like everyone, but that's kind of where it comes down to. Like everybody has their own mentality. Like me to you, if I'm in a bar, I'm drunk. I could be drunk off my ass. A dude bumps me in the arm. My first instinct is not to, yo, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, you good.
You just don't even think about it.
You're
too
good,
much.
bro. If he turns around and he's like, I'm already like, it's no problem.
Yeah.
You did not interrupt anything in my life. You bumped me. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people, and nothing wrong with it. Like, I get it. It can be aggravating. You spill your drink, this and this. But, like, what does that really matter?
At the end of your day.
What exactly? How did that really affect your entirety of your day?
Like, you had
Well, you
24
lost
hours.
$6 Because
Yeah, depending with that inflation, yes, sir.
yeah,
But-
that's $10. That's $10 now.
That 8.7% is really
Yeah.
good.
But like I was saying, like, you know, your reality. Okay, so say somebody bumps you aggressively. Say not
So
just
you can tell the
accidentally.
intent is
Yeah,
that
like
there's
that's
you
malice
can
behind
tell.
it.
That's
Yeah,
different.
you can tell the intent, and somebody bumps you, because you know how. You know, most guys are in a bar. You know, they're super fucking trying. They're
Like
trying
they're putting
to.
their alpha
That
shirt on.
testosterone.
Yeah,
is-
they're trying to be these alpha males, and they're really not. So but somebody bumps you, and the first instinct, I would be like, well, not necessarily to put hands on them, but because I be more verbal, be like, what's wrong? Like, why would you, why did you think that was okay?
What brought you to this decision?
Yeah. But and that might lead to, you know, physical altercation. But societal norms are to say, oh, well, maybe he just didn't see me. Maybe he did. Because I mean, I've bumped into people. That's because I got pushed in the back. But I've never intentionally bumped into someone unless, like I said, it was intentional to a certain degree.
Okay.
People just, I don't know, man. I feel like everybody's on edge. It's not just today's society. I feel like always, you know what I mean? Like you kind of said, like everybody has their own intentional goals, you know? You don't ever know, really. It could be your best friend. You never truthfully know what is on their mind because
yeah. You
minds
don't
are
know what's
different.
going on behind the curtain.
Do you
ever.
think
I feel like it's good to break down and it's good to backtrack and find out. I feel like people need to do more of that. Like, hey, what led you to do this? What in any situation? And I feel like there would be a lot less bullshit in the world. But people are
if
quick
we
to
brought
react.
more transparency into society today, so many of these walls would just get breaking down.
Yeah.
Because people think that they're on this side and then the other person is on the other side. But if there was more transparency, they would realize
there's a middle ground?
There is a middle
and
ground.
everybody.
Perfectly
I
said,
don't care
Hunter.
what your standpoint on religion, you know, politics, whatever. There is a middle ground for everything, and people just don't want to see that because everybody wants to be right. I feel like in today's time,
Exactly. It's their ego.
that ego plays in.
Because if you're right, then people have to back you.
Well, and also what you talked about is people want to jump into a following that they feel can lead them to somewhere.
Can
you know?
identify them.
Yeah. Instead of just being their own person, being, you know, instead of, you know, their own reality, they're taking somebody else's reality and amplifying that. That's how theirs
It's not like
is.
true to themselves.
They're like, I
If they do
relate
that.
Not
to
true to
this,
themselves or the
but
world.
I'm gonna join this guy, even though he's way to this. You know, he's radical in a sense, but I agree with some things, so I'm just
Yeah.
gonna agree.
Yeah.
Let me drop a bomb on you guys. It's about
I'm ready.
So I have a perspective on labeling and judging people. So if you as a person identify as something, so say I worked for a job and as that job I was a manager. So every time I came in, like clocked into that job, if I was labeled a manager, my perspective would be set as a manager. I wouldn't be able to see that business as a team member. So I have a belief that labeling yourself or like judging yourself as one type of thing is limiting your perspective on life because you're seeing it through a kaleidoscope. Like you're seeing it through one person's perspective, like as a manager. So I don't know if you want to grow as a person, I don't believe you should really label yourself behind something.
I agree with that.
I do. As far as the being wholesome, being a person
Yeah.
wise, but like I think if you want to be successful in something, like Jake Paul, for
Like,
example.
you got to show the condition.
No, it was just like Jake Paul. Shout out Jake Paul.
Cool dude.
Yeah. He's the next guest on
He's
the
a go-getter.
podcast. Next
Yeah.
next guest on the podcast.
Episode 2.
But if he believed, you know, I'm not really a boxer. I'm me. You know,
He wouldn't be knocking these dudes out.
He wouldn't be knocking these dudes out, making millions. And I think that sometimes you do to get what you want, and that just might be the way the world is. To get what you want to a certain extent, to whatever, you have to believe you are who you are. Now, say like say you were a normal worker, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got moved to be a manager. If you kept that normal worker's perspective and attitude, would you be a good manager?
Probably not.
No.
No. And so you wouldn't move up. You'd probably get demoted.
So you believe that labels contribute to kind of like your productivity to the world?
Yeah. As far as like what you want to get done. Now, maybe when he gets off of work, when he punches out,
Maybe
you know,
not carry
He's
that
a
label
cool
with him.
guy, chill dude.
cool
doesn't
guy,
care.
chill dude. You gotta know. I think you gotta know when to realize
When and where.
what your title is, who you are, and know when it doesn't matter. I'm just a guy off work, or I'm a guy done at the end of the day, you know? Like you said earlier, there's a middle ground.
Yep.
And I think that's in mostly everything. There's a middle ground, and it's about finding that middle ground.
It's about like compromising in a sense to the other side so that you both are getting what you want.
Yeah. And me personally, dude, like I'm kind of a people pleaser. Like, in a sense, if I'm in a scenario, like I want everybody to feel like they're right, in a sense, even if I don't believe it 100%.
But do you think you can bring that to every situation?
Me personally,
think-
kinda.
I think it helps a lot of situations. Now, I mean, if you can dictate who's really right and who's really wrong, yes. But if you make everybody feel content and happy while still realizing like, let's go this way. I mean, I think that's one of the great. I mean, the greatest leaders are like that, to be able to please the people and still feel a different way.
So keeping
You know?
people content and happy, but also leaving their purpose intact as well. Like not
Yeah, to
leaving
feel
them
like
as-
that what they have to say matters.
right.
Like, you don't necessarily run away from what you're saying, but when you say something that you truthfully believe is right, in my own eyes, it's like when someone counteracts that, if like they have a point, I try my best to like
see that point.
see where they're coming from, and then I can say, you know what, you're right too. But you know, at the end of the day, there is, from a human perspective, and this is going to be kind of controversial too, like there is no right and wrong in a person's mind, a human being's mind.
Well, that goes back to Robert Nietzsche.
You'll have to elaborate. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to say this, you scholar. Go into depth here.
He talked about, you know, all these good people that give the charities into something. They feel good about that. So in a sense, it becomes selfish.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to the societal norms of what is a good person. Is a good person somebody that cares for others instead of themselves? I mean, are we really bad people for caring for ourselves? This is, I mean,
I mean, we're the main
this is
character
not
in our own stories.
Well, yeah, this is not verbatim in his words, and it's definitely not my words, because I think you got to care for other people and stuff. But he talked about how we go back to these egotistic, some of them that run businesses, right? Who's to say they are bad people for wanting what they want? You know, at the end of the day, everybody goes to what makes them feel good, what makes them feel at place, at home.
They're just trying to fulfill their desires in a sense.
Yeah. And so, does that make a bad person?
No.
Just because he
No.
doesn't care about some other person?
They're
to a
just
certain
taking
extent?
it to. They're just taking it to a further extent than other people would to satisfy themselves.
Well, you know how you're on there's a political spectrum, right?
Yeah.
There's the middle, there's far right, far. I think there's a spectrum for people and their personality. I think if you go too far this way,
You're labeled as this person, this kind of person.
Yeah, I think. Well, if you go way too far this way, I think that you will be, you'll have psychopathy. You'll be maybe narcissistic. I think everybody's a little narcissistic in their own view. But
Probably.
You'll be a sociopath. But on this spectrum, you're, Gandhi. Push and pull, everything comes back. And I think most people fall
In the
back
middle
to the
ground.
middle ground, like I was
Okay.
talking about. I think that you have to care for, people's beliefs and,
Like hold value in what they value.
yeah,
Yeah.
Why
but
not?
but don't lose what you as a person hold and don't hold. I mean, it's different if you got a wife and kids, and you hold their values different from yours. But if do not put people's values in front of your own, because you'll just be. I don't know if it makes you happy to do that. If you're happy being a servant, okay. But I think for the majority of people, like, everybody can have their own opinion, right? We've all that saying about opinions.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah, everybody's got one.
Everybody's got a different one.
Yeah, that's the PG version. But I think that if you have all that out, you know, a lot of people fall, you know, closer to that, you know, middle, maybe closer to psychopathy, because I think a lot of people do, even if, say, I give to charity, I do this, I'm doing the Lord's work, I'm doing this for the.
It's all self-righteous.
It's all self-righteous.
Like, they're
at the
getting
end.
satisfaction from doing it at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Like, it's pushing them forward in a I don't want to say
self-proclaiming manner.
Yeah, self-proclaiming is better than I was going to say selfish, but yeah, self-proclaiming is a lot better.
Well, yeah, I've struggled with that because I used to call people that do that, say they give money to the homeless or whatever. And
You're
I'm
not being selfish because you're
no,
giving.
It's just not saying that people. I mean, I don't want to.
Everybody has a motive
Yeah, for what they
something,
do,
whether it's good, bad, you know.
and they get a feeling from that.
Yeah.
From that
You get some
interaction.
kind
That
of
dopamine
satisfaction.
release, like, people get it in different ways, whether it's giving or doing something bad. But at the end of the day, like, that person is seeking something to make themselves feel better. You know what I mean?
They're
Yeah,
trying
at
to get
the
through
end
the
of
day
the
the
day.
same as you are.
Yeah.
And that's what Ramin Nietzsche said is, why am I the bad guy for fulfilling my self-proclaiming needs just because I'm not giving to others like people who are, but still fulfilling their self-proclaimed needs, you know?
Yeah. That's why I feel like you should never look down on somebody. And kind of when I think about stuff like this, like right, wrong, like, why are you doing this? Like, for some reason, like, war kind of always pops in my mind. And it's kind of like crazy to some people, but, you know, in a war, depending on where you're at, depending on what you're fighting for, I mean, at the end of the day, you're fighting for another man's agenda. At the end of the day.
They say war is young men dying for old men's.
But that person will find a way to justify, in a sense, of what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like
They're protecting their family.
they're protecting their family, their country that they love, their religion, their whatever it is. They find a
They're
purpose
standing
for
up
it.
for what they find purpose in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even though it's super drastic, you know, it's honestly a crazy thought.
Like, it's life or death.
Yeah, it's life or death out here. Like, I'm doing this for my cause. I'm the good guy. These people suck. Whether, I'm from this country, I'm doing it from this cause. These people suck. Like, who's the bad guy? And you can't say this or that, no matter what.
It's such a gray area. It's like there's
It
no
is.
right or wrong in that sense.
And that's what
because
people need to find, that gray area, that middle ground, bro.
we just need to take into factor in each big event that happens in life is that there are different perspectives behind it. But we like to choose sides so quickly so that we can label ourselves as something.
It's too quickly almost.
Yeah.
Like, when something comes out, people are instantly, from the second you read an article or you see a video that you know it's going to divide, you're instantly jumping to one or the other. Like, very rarely, and it's easy to be a middleman sitting here talking. But, like, if we were somewhere where, you know, say you believe something, you know, 100% wholeheartedly, you believe in it, and you're at, like, a rally for it, and there's a guy talking about something different, are you really going to be in the middle right there in the moment? Like, no. I feel like you're going to jump to that side. And that's something all humans need to work on, like us and everybody. Like, just fucking realize, like, we're all just here living this experience. Like, we need to find something in common with everybody, because I feel like people were always meant to communicate with each other and be in communities.
Well, that's kind of the superpower of humanity, is that I can transport my thoughts into your thoughts just through making sounds.
Just speech.
Just speech. Like, and what animal can do speech in a articulate way that humans can?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
We're special. We really are special.
You know how you talked about how people jump from stream this way, stream this way. You know why? Because these media channels and everything, it's either you're this way or that way. I believe most Americans, most people in general, do see that middle ground. It's just they don't have the platform because it doesn't do the ratings, it doesn't do the agendas. Because if you're in the middle ground, for as far as economic purposes, you know, you see both sides, so it doesn't push stuff. So that's why a lot of these middle ground people, like most of the world,
Just don't get heard.
They don't get heard, but they don't have that platform to go out to millions and millions of people daily.
Because it
you
doesn't
know?
sell as easily as picking a side does.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
And that's why I like this, like the whole podcast idea, the whole podcast platform is the fact of like I want it to be like we could all have different thoughts. We can all communicate. There is no one's jumping on you or no one's labeling you as this. It's like we are literally just communicating. And people don't do that anymore, dude. Like he was saying, like there's either a right or left. Like people are in the middle, but if you get put on the spot, you have a fear of being one or the other. You know what I mean? So you kind of just, whoever's speaking to you, you're going to lean towards their way.
or speaking louder.
Or, yeah.
Unless you
a lot of
disagree
them.
with them, then you're going to want to lean the opposite way.
Or the opposite, you know, their way or the opposite
Extremely the
way.
opposite way.
It's hard. It really is in real life. Like I said, it's easy to do it here, like just us chatting it up. But in real life scenarios, you know, it's really, I feel like it's truthfully hard to just be
Because
a
you don't know
middleman.
what the other person's intentions of you are.
Especially for someone like I said, like you're trying to people please in a sense, like, and that's a good and a bad thing. I think like it's caught me off guard sometimes where it's like I'm agreeing with something when I wholeheartedly, you know, disagree. But I feel I don't want to start that controversy between us of, hey buddy, I disagree with that, and then it's like, you know, we can't. I know how people are today. It's hard to find that middle ground, so people are just gonna argue. And that gets nobody anywhere.
And it gets nothing done.
It gets nothing done. It
There's
gets
no
nowhere.
productivity if both sides are just arguing with each other.
Yeah, there has to be conversation, like actual conversation. People just talking.
Yeah.
And that's what I love this platform for. I hope we can accomplish that at some point.
Just
you know,
get our thoughts out there.
yeah.
I think we will. From the more I think it comes down to people being genuine in their thoughts and being who they really are. And I think in this podcast, people will see, you know, how genuine we are, how much, you know,
I hope so.
we really mean to this, and how valuable is what we say.
Like we're just laying our thoughts on the line. Like,
We are. Like
Yeah.
we're not
Good or bad
right here, right
outcome.
now. We're not thinking about what other people think.
No, we're thinking
We're just talking.
we're picking each other's brains.
And I hope more people are like that later on.
Speaking of picking each other's brains, so today when I woke up, I saw a news article about Amber Heard lining herself up to be sued a third time by Johnny Depp. So she went on the Today Show a couple of days ago, and she said plainly on that interview that she will stick by what she said till she dies. She's still up there saying that like Johnny Depp beat her, and that's lining her up for another lawsuit because
Yeah,
she's
but-
still out there talking bad about him.
Yeah, but eventually, this is how I think about it. Johnny Depp will not. He's already won. He's already got his PR back. He will not address these allegations like he has in the past. And slowly, people see her already in the public as a liar and manipulator. And I think slowly she will just die off. She won't have a platform, and that'll become obsolete. In the
So do
grand
you
scheme.
guys, sorry to cut you off, do you guys think that learning from your mistakes, because Amber Heard obviously is not, do you think that learning from your mistakes contributes to your success as a person? Because you're taking your failures and you're kind of constructing your future self off of them, right?
Oh, I definitely agree with that. Like
Yeah.
the whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing. Like you know, at first I was kind of like interested at first, but then I got to the point where it's like I don't, you know, dude, why are we even paying attention to this? And I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of what it is. Like she's trying to push this, but yeah, like you said, you make mistakes just to learn. You know what I mean? Like you can't be successful without fucking some shit up first. Like, you're gonna fall. And I feel like the people that hit rock bottom, like, obviously I'm not recommending going off the rails and just, let me hit rock bottom and see if I can come up. But, you know, you're living your actual life and you just mistake after mistake after mistake until you find yourself at the bottom as low as you could think. And then you work yourself like back up. I feel like those people are the people that become the best leaders.
They have so much wisdom behind them.
Yeah. And where if you just go through your life like perfect, I never did this, I never did that. Like, right. What did you really experience?
Like, if you never took a mistake, then you don't have the life experience of someone who is flawed. Like, you kind of build a narcissistic view of yourself if you've never failed at something.
Yeah, I'm perfect. But in my own experience, like, I feel like I learned more from life experience than I could ever learn from sitting down. And someone telling me something. Like, I'm the type of person, like, I need to experience it myself, get my own opinion on it, and then build on that opinion that I've formed through my own experiences.
Not something you've been told.
Yeah, because when you're told something, dude, I mean, you know, you kind of always, at least me, I take it with a grain of salt. Like, even if I know this person knows what the hell they're talking about, I kind of just feel the urge to.
Yeah, well, everybody's got a different life, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody's got different like variables of why stuff happens, and they might say steer clear of this. Like, you know, I know a lot of old people will be like, I'll never touch alcohol in their life, but that's because they can't handle alcohol. But
like, they've learned themselves.
Yeah, like, I mean, granted, if you learn yourself, you understand like I can't handle alcohol. I can't handle.
From experience, you've learned.
Yeah. Then that's good, but I don't think that's how everybody should be. Because there's people that can take a little sip and relax and have a good time, and it's better for their mental state than just sitting there wound up. I think wisdom, like you said, is taken with a grain of salt. Like, everybody's different. Everybody has different variables of why this happened and everything. So I agree. You have to learn from other people's mistakes, but you also have to learn from your mistakes. I mean, try not to make the mistakes, but you do have to learn from your mistakes, because you'll never grow as a person if you don't.
Right.
Because you can learn everything from everybody and just think it's
but it can like disconnect you from yourself if you're just viewing other people.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
That's why you got to live it. You got to live it.
You got to get out there.
You have to put yourself out there. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. If you're comfortable every day of your life, you're not growing. Like, that's truthfully what I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I think that was a good little episode, man.
Yeah, I think this.
You guys want to wrap it up?
I think this is going to wrap it up. We're hitting an hour now.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, we've been talking for an hour now.
Well, that flew by for me. I hope it flew by for you guys, too.
It did.
I hope it was enjoyable.
Oh, it was.
That was a good conversation.
It was very enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Hey,
all right.
Too much thought.
Too much thought.
See you guys next time.
Podcast.
Tune in next week.
Episode
Yes, sir.
dose.